Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we've got something a little bit extra special for you guys. We haven't got to do one of these in a long while, but this is a Kitbash Army Showcase. So for anybody that hasn't seen one of the previous ones on the channel, that being for the original all Kitbash Crew Army and the World Eaters Army, basically what this is like a full army version of the Kitbash showcases that I sometimes do for uniquely kitbashed models that I've made. Only in this case, it is when I have done a sufficient amount to call it a decent, an army. And basically, it's just like I'll just quickly run through each of the models, what they are, what they represent, just kind of a quick little bit about them. I'll have work in progress pictures popping up, as well as any, like for a lot of these guys, I was writing fun little bits of lore that I was posting on Instagram and stuff. So I'll have those popping up in the background too. But so just a real quick summary for those that don't know, who may be new to the channel and haven't seen too much of this yet. This is my long ongoing project that is my space pirate army. So I started with just that idea and then kind of worked the lore around it. I knew I wanted space pirates. I knew I wanted them to kind of have the feel of like that old Treasure Planet animated movie. I wanted it to be like mixed race, kind of a ragtag bunch. And so this started before a certain GW release happened. But basically, my idea was that this started as a band of squats who survived the destruction of their homeworld that was consumed by a Tyranid hive fleet, and basically they're being led by their High Admiral with what they could salvage and escape with, and they've turned to piracy as a way to fund their growing mercenary army, which they're hoping to use to fight back against the Tyranids. So basically, they're going around, they're doing a bunch of questionable shit, they're smuggling, they're occasionally stealing stuff from the Imperial worlds, who they kind of also blame for not helping them in order to fund their growing force, who they hope to use to fight the Tyranids themselves. Anybody is welcome to join as long as they're willing to listen, follow orders, and fight the Tyranids. And that's basically the plot of it. So a lot of the leaders of different squads and HQs are going to be squats, as well as any of the other factions that have chosen to join up with them. And the weapons and armor are a mix of all that too, to kind of reflect that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the HQ or character models, and then just kind of work my way down the list. And it might be a little bit out of order, and it might be a little bit all over the place. But I'll try to keep this like relatively short. Like I said, stuff's going to be popping up in the background. And for the more elaborate kit bashes, they'll have their own videos coming out later on the channel whenever I get around to it. And yeah, so as always, guys, if you do want to support the channel, there is a Patreon link down below. So all these work in progress stuff that's popping up, basically the little perk of that Patreon, which is only $1, by the way, is that you just kind of get to see all that stuff early. I post all my work in progress stuff there, everything that's coming down the pipe. So you kind of get a little bit of, you can call it early access to these sort of things and models before everybody else does. And you don't have to wait for these videos to come out. So anyways, without further ado, like I said, I wrote a whole bunch of lore for these guys, and I forget like the names and stuff I came up with, but I'll have it all popping up as I talk. So start with the HQs. I'll just kind of bring them up. I think that'll be easier. So this, and with the new guard codex, I had to shift things around. This plays as tempestus scions, so everything here is playable in a scions army, which in and of itself is quite limiting and a little bit janky right now with the way the guard codex is, as it always is. The tempestus scions is a pretty niche faction, but anyways, that's what this is. This is all meant to be played as scion stuff. So that said, this is a representing now Acadian Castellan. So here we have the squat High Admiral. If I can get that to focus. Why is it not wanting to? There we go. So that is our squat High Admiral. So this guy, as well as a couple other models you'll see in a little bit, these all came from the Caradron Overlords I think it's Warcry. It's their little version of like Kill Team. So they had a little set. I forget what it was called. It was like something Expedition or whatever. But this guy was their leader. And basically, the only kit bashing I had to do was, I think I did. Did I do this strap? No, that must be plastic. I thought I did that strap for some reason. But anyways, he's already holding this massive spear, or like harpoon, which looks very pirate-esque. This hat is green stuffed, made by me. And then basically I just added some Tyranid skulls up there with a chain. So that was a pretty simple kit bash, but that is the High Admiral, or the leader of this whole faction. I had a fun little lore blurb written about him I'll have pop up now, so you can read that if you would like. But yeah, he's the guy holding this little crew together. More exciting, in my opinion, though, is his companion. So this, if it's not obvious, is Orc Dead Dog. So he's representing, of course, Orc Dead Dog, the character Bulgrin. And this is, again, those little like Warcry sets are like some of the best places to find cool, unique models. So this is the Auric version of that. Again, I forget the name of the set, but I'll have it pop up in the background. But so basically all I had to do for this was, so this is a green stuff pirate hat, a green stuff robotic eye, because of course Age of Sigmar, this is like a low-tech, medieval type orc. And then this is some big orc shooter that, he's holding, and he's wrapped a chain around it. Pretty simple kit bash, but I think it is quite effective. He looks very, very like freebooters-esque. But basically the background for a little bit of lore for this guy is like, orcs will follow the biggest and toughest leader. And it has actually happened in lore where a confused orc will follow a human if they killed his war boss. So at some point, this guy did kill this guy's war boss. And so that is how he got this guy and the few other orcs that are in the army to follow him. And he's surprisingly loyal, and he's surprisingly a pretty good bodyguard to his big boss, who's actually a squat, funny enough, much smaller than him. But yes, that's kind of his fun little thing. And their policy on the orcs is, as long as they stay in line, then they're good to stay. As troublesome as I'm sure they can be. So that is that Cadian Castellan HQ. The next is the what are these called? They're just called a command squad. Called a command squad now. And they're a pretty like confusing unit to use. But as you can see, we've got quite a mix of people here. So I'll just grab a couple of these guys real quick to talk about first before we get into the more interesting stuff. But basically, so you're gonna see a bunch of these guys, these type of guys, and I'll hold up a couple more for you to see. But these are Forge World Guard models. They're called the Solar Auxilia, and they're kind of like more elite guardsmen. So I thought they were pretty perfect to represent more Voidborn scions. And the background for these guys, and there's a lot of them, is that they are being led by their commander, who is representing, or who is that guy down there. And basically, they were just Imperial Guardsmen of a pretty elite group. They had a really shitty commissar ordering them around, and that guy eventually was like, you know what, screw you, load them into a basilisk, let's fire them at the enemy and get the hell out of here. So they turned renegade, and they ended up as mercenaries working for these guys because nobody else would take them in. So we got a whole bunch of these guys filling different roles throughout the army. These are the Volkite version of them. This guy's on some kind of a Vox. But I just use these because the Volkite guns look very similar to plasma. So I just use these as plasma guns. Anytime you see one of these guys in the army, know that that's what they're representing. They're just representing a plasma gun guy. But I think they look very cool. They're very cool looking models. So I'll put them back. And then we've got a bunch. I'll show probably each of these individually because I really like each of them. So these are extra Gene Stealer Cults guys that actually came with some certain vehicles in the back there. We'll get to in a moment. But I've turned them into basically like Hive Gangers. So these are not Gene Stealer Cults guys. I've taken off all the GSC emblems and stuff from them, and I've given them these cool heads, which are from Necromunda. You can buy like an upgrade sprue for that, and they make really great hive gangster heads. So each one of these guys is super unique, and basically, not much lore explanation required. They're ex-gangers and hive scum wanting a chance at fame and fortune, so they join up with the squat admiral, and as long as they're willing to fight the Tyranids, they are welcome to join. We got him. Then we've got this guy. I think we called this guy Officer Chitters. Very funny. So this is representing the officer of the fleet. And so this is of course a little grot with binoculars. The pistol on his hip is actually it's like a nail gun or a rivet gun or whatever. Because this guy was originally from a mech gun kit. I had to green stuff the little holster and stuff for it. But and his little officer hat is green stuffed as well. So not a terribly elaborate kitbash there either, but again, I think it is quite effective. I know the little bit of lore for this guy was pretty funny. It's basically like he is so annoying to everybody else that they are actively trying to kill him, but the pirate code, forbids them from just like offing him themselves because he hasn't like technically done anything wrong. He's just very annoying. So what they do is they're like, oh yeah, like call in the airstrike, buddy. But the only way it works is if you stand like really close to where you're calling it. So they'll like, purposely try to blow him up with the airstrikes, and he just always lives somehow. So he's still here, still being the officer of the fleet. Then we've got a Kroot warrior here. This guy there's a bunch of them in the army. They were originally meant to be like crusaders, and I was calling them Kroot-saders. Aren't I hilarious? But those are no longer a thing. So now he's just like a scion, sergeant with a sword or whatever, a veteran with a sword, I guess, if he's in that squad. So that's all he's representing. And for anyone wondering, this is a 3D printed body and head from Felix the Crazy. The spear and some of the other stuff is from a Seraphon kit. I believe it is the Ripperdactyl unit that those things are from. So a pretty simple kit bash there. But I was really happy with all those guys, and then they took them from the army. So that was quite annoying. Now we've got this guy here. So this is the leader of that Renegade Imperial Guard sub-faction within my army here. And I just thought it would be fun to give him, like, instead of a parrot on his shoulder, he's got this little, like, Xenos bug thing. I don't really think there's any rules to, like, represent that I could think of, but it's pretty fun. That's the only real kit bash with him. This is how you would buy the model, and he's actually just like the sergeant, I guess, for the squad of Volkite guys, but I think he looks very cool as a command squad leader with a power fist and a fancy pistol. So I really like him a lot. I really like his little Xenos parrot he has there. As far as other HQs, what do we have? We got this guy here. So this is another member of the same squad that the Admiral came from there. So again, it's just a really cool Caradron Overlords set. They come with, of course, these nice bases. They're very unique models. The couple little kit bashes with him, because this guy is representing a tech priest. To fix up the vehicles. Of course, squats and dwarves good at fixing vehicles. You need one of those. So I gave him this bionic arm, which is from the Havocs kit, like Chaos Space Marines Havocs. It's on their backpack, I believe. No, wait a minute. No, I'm wrong. This is from a Iron Strider. Yes, it's from an AdMech Iron Strider. It's the little robot arms, little T-Rex arms that are on the bottom of them. And then this is just your basic chainsword. I forget where it came from, but it's just a chainsword. You get them everywhere. So I just basically trimmed the end off of this thing here. It was like some sort of like a weird vacuum looking gun. If I remember right, trimmed that off. And so that's like his heavy, power blade for cutting through vehicles to repair them and stuff. So this is just like your heavy duty mechanic, and I think he turned out quite cool. I really like that guy. Put him back. Other characters, we've got, so in the back here, I've just got a, there, those are just like random extra models. I had all the squads and things made in a certain way, and then the new codex came out, and you had to make these really big, weird command squads, and the way the cast tone worked and stuff. So I ended up having like I think 4 random extra models. I've got this guy too, who I just made to be a cool squat character. Maybe fill in as a sergeant sometimes. But basically, uh, basically, he's just another cool Caradron Overlord. This one is from the Airships. He's an extra guy from that. And the weapons are from that Necromunda kit again. A lot of cool stuff there. I think I swapped his head for a different Caradron Overlord head. And this little thing on his head is the head of the hammer he was originally holding, if I remember right. Just add a little skull, painted on the little pirate symbol and stuff. Just an overall cool guy. I like him quite a bit. I don't know what he would really represent. I guess he could just be like a commissar or something. Alright, next up we have a pair of assassins, and these are again a little bit of a callback to what they were originally. So I've got this assassin, which is of course a Calexis assassin. This model I've had for a very long time. I made this, I don't even know how long ago, but this was meant to be a giveaway. Long ago, I did a little giveaway where I had a couple different options, and this was the option nobody picked. So I just used it in this army. The model itself is a like Tzeentch cultist, I believe, actually. Yeah, I think it was a Tzeentch cultist from the Eyes of the Nine kit. I green stuffed the head and the eyes. The little hair piece I think was from like a Chaos Marine. And then this arm is from the Iron Strider kit. And yeah, pretty happy with her. Like I said, I made her a long time ago. Haven't updated the base to match these yet, but I think it's not too bad. So we've got her randomly. And then we have the Vindicare, who I like much more. So this is my Vindicare, who is this super cool lizard assassin. And so this was originally meant to be one of the, there was Rain and Rouse, who were ratlings from the Blackstone Fortress kit. And so one of them had a sniper rifle and one of them had like grenades or something. But so I originally made these guys from extra parts to represent those, but those guys don't have rules anymore either. So now he is a Vindicare. He is a skink mixed with some Tau parts. This is a trimmed down Tau rifle with part of a Kroot rifle with part of a Space Marine Eliminator rifle, Space Marine Eliminator rifle. So there's 3 different rifles going on here, plus some extra little odds and ends, Tau arms. Quite a fun little Kitbash. I really like that guy. Alright, I think that is it for characters. We'll go ahead and do some infantry now. Basically, I've got 3 squads of 10 and then 2 of 5. And basically I'll just pick the couple most interesting models from each squad. I won't show every single individual guy. I'll just do a quick little once over of the squad. I'll just start over here in the front. So there's the squad there. We've got another Hive gangster here with a little melt-a-gun. Quite like that guy. We've got Pegleg Jim here. Must have been eaten by a Tyrannid. Poor guy. And that's, of course, just some green stuff. And that guy is, of course, another Gene Stealer cultist body mixed with those Necromunda upgrade parts. The Sergeant is another one of those Kroot satyrs. So this is, once again, a 3D printed body and head with a Seraphon spear, also from that Ripperdactyl kit, I believe. And then I made this cool shield for him out of part of a Tau shield drone, and I believe that's a Tau shoulder piece there, but because yeah, he was supposed to be a Kroot satyr. He's got a Kroot pistol on his side there, but yeah, quite happy with that guy. The rest of the squad is pretty basic, just more of those type of guys. So there's that squad. Then we've got this squad here, which these front three are just basic Caradron Overlord guys, no kit bashing going on there. This is a guy from, again, that Warcry set, acting as, of course, the squad sergeant. I think one of these is also from that set. I think it is this guy. And then this guy is from the other Caradron Overlord set, which is like their heavy weapon squad. I forget what it's called. But basically those two, this guy and that guy are representing Hellblaster volley guns. They've got these cool like multi-barrel, very pirate-esque looking guns. So I thought that was an appropriate proxy. We've got a guy with a hook hand, of course. Need him. You know him, you love him. And we have another Hive gangster. This one is throwing some dynamite. I'm sure that would be very effective against some charging Hormagaunts or whatever. And some more plasma guys and whatever. Not super exciting. This squad back here has some rather interesting fellows in it. So this is our sergeant here. He is, again, an extra squat, I think, that came with the airships. He's got a hammer, and he's got a plasma pistol, again, from that Necromunda kit. That's a really good kit, actually, for parts and things. I really can't recommend that one enough. His most interesting heavy weapons guy is probably this plasma guy. I think that head and that shoulder are from like a Baneblade tank crew. I actually really like the paint job on that guy. I think I did the OSL glow, not too terrible. He's got a couple more of these squat heavy weapon guys. These are representing Meltas, these big, like, crazy looking pirate boomsticks. Again, some of them I couldn't bring myself to really change, like them and then the scion guys with the Volkites. I'm like, it's close enough. And they're representing, at the time they were like unknown squats, so like who's to say that's not their version of a Melta gun? But of course now we do have the Leagues of Otam. This guy I really like. So this was the other lizard man guy that was representing the other half of Rain and Rouse. So this lizard man body, the legs and the head anyway, are from the Stegodon kit, if I'm not mistaken. And then I green stuffed the eyes. It's a Tau body and Tau arms, of course. Some extra grenades and stuff there. Just like his brother. Very happy with that guy. I think he looks really cool. Shame they got rid of the rules for those guys, because that's the kind of like fun little, like, almost kind of silly unit that I do like. Speaking of, like, these guys as normal guardsmen are quite cool. Can I not get this to focus now? Listen. There we go. So sorry about the lighting. It's not great in here right now. I'm filming this at night. I have like half my house lit up, just trying to make this look halfway decent, but that might be a fail on my part. Alright, next squad. 。 the squad is again comprised of mostly same sort of dudes. So this guy is squad sergeant, and he is just the sergeant model for the normal guardsman guys. So when you buy that kit from Forge World, this guy is your sergeant. And I think he had a couple little options, but I think he looked very cool. Of course, he got a power sword and power pistol, or hotshot pistol or whatever. And then he's just got a couple more of these type of dudes as his heavy weapons. Volkites as well. We know them, we love them. I'll just bring them up because it's a little bit too far, but there's another squad of 5 back there that does have some rather interesting guys in it. So we've got our sergeant. Ta-da! So he is again those Necromunda parts with Genesteel Occult Body, this time to make a sergeant with a chainsword and plasma pistol. And he is, of course, a lovable ginger with a mustache. I think he looks quite cool. I like him a lot. Set him back there. Then we have another former cultist model. This one with a crazy modified melt-a-gun. It's like extra long, holding a wrench. Hopefully he plans to fix up some ships. And then this guy is probably my favorite crew in the army, just because he looks really cool. So this is a ridiculously modified Kroot heavy weapon gunner. Again, the shield, same as that other shield, body, head, 3D printed again. And then it's a Tau plasma gun with part of a Tau drone. And then part of his arm had to be green stuffed in order to make it fit like that. And then the cable coming off the back is also all green stuff. So a fair bit of work went into this little guy, but I think he looks very cool. I actually really like him a lot. He was one of the most recent models here because I just had this guy sitting around not doing anything. So I was like, I'm going to make him into something playable. And then we have probably my least favorite unit in the squad. So these are my Bolgren, who are represented by these orcs. And the reason I don't like them is just a little like pet peeve of mine. When I do kitbashes, I like them to be on the correct size bases, and none of these guys are on the right size bases. They also are a little small for what they are pretending to be, but at some point I'm going to have to put them on the right bases, but I just haven't gone around to it yet because just like acquiring bases is kind of annoying when you don't have a 3D printer. But so I'll show you each of these guys. So these are again orcs from the various Warcry sets. You get a lot of cool ones from there. I think it's 2 different sets going on here. But this guy's got of course, a Space Marine tank hatch as a shield. He's got a modified, this is a modified axe. It originally only has 1 blade. I gave it a 2nd blade because that looked cool. This guy here, it's just got some simple extra armor slapped onto him in the form of, I think that's just some like plasticard glued together and some random little extra scraps and stuff. Okay. With this one, he's got some sort of scales and scrap strapped onto his arm as a shield. Big chunky boy with 2 maces. 1 mace ain't good enough. And then this is how ridiculous I am with not wasting models. I had 2 of those extra Crusaders, so I stuck them on 1 base, and I'm like, yo, there's my 4th Bulgar. Yeah, I didn't know what else to do with them at the time. Just thought this was good enough. I think it looks kind of cool having both of them on the base. Not really a good representation of what they're trying to be, but when have I ever let that stop me before? Let's look back to my most famous or infamous kitbash, the giant Tau T-Rex that doesn't make much sense at all. But anyways, So now we have my two, these will be Taurox Primes. So these are the Gene Stealer Cult's Rock Grinder trucks. And quite happy with how these came out. I put a lot of like graffiti and stuff on them. That was the kind of the theme of the army. I did a lot of like freehand. I don't normally do. That's their pirate symbol. It's meant to be like a skull with a beard and an anchor. Just thought it looked cool. The only kit bashing you had to do was replace the auto gun up top with a oh, what's that Gatling gun thing called? Frig. Oh, assault cannon. It's an assault cannon from the Space Marine gunship, I believe. So he's got a little kill count there on the side. And then, of course, the Gene Stealer cult that was driving it is now a friendly gangster. But yeah, I quite like the look of these. These are pretty like solid little vehicles. They're pretty fun in game, even though they always die really quick. I'll show you this one quick. There's some more fun freehand on there. So it's for the kin. It's obviously for the squat clan that they all serve. It says Purge on the back. Yeah, nothing too crazy with those. Pretty simple kit bashes. It's kind of the theme of the army. It's like not the most crazy kit bashes, but like just enough to make it look fun. I don't know if I'm going to be able to move the airships. Let me see how this looks. Move this. These things, the flight stands, are brutal. Watch me break one right now on camera. But basically, so these are the Caradron Overlord airships. They're not the ironclad. They're one size down. But so these are representing my Valkyries. So look at my lovely paintwork on these. Ooh, doesn't look so good on video. I thought it looked pretty good in my hand, but oh well. Anyways, so what have we done to this thing? We've actually done quite a bit. So we've got the original squat captain back there. This guy is obviously not a Caradron Overlord, so you've got to uh, remove the like harpoon launcher they normally have there, and then you build a little thing for this guy to stand on because there will just be a big hole there. And that in that case, this case, it was like the hatch from I think it was a Baneblade again. And then you can buy these gunners for the Solar Auxilia in packs, like these like heavy weapon gunners. So that's the heavy weapon gunner from Forge World. You can buy them separate, and then there's some little like green stuff sandbags around them. And so that's pretty much that for the las cannon for the Valkyrie. And then, so you got your little lookout guy up there. Again, he comes with the kit. That's normal. The wings, though, the wings are very short. So just this little part here is the pretty much all the wing that would be on it. So I lengthened those with some of the extra pieces for, you see how there's the big balloon? There's actually meant to be another balloon here in the front. And so you get, and if you don't use that, which I didn't, then you end up with a bunch of extra pieces. So I used those plus a little bit of plastic card to extend the wings a bunch, make it more like, it just kind of makes it look more like sleek and more like a fast flying aircraft. We've got one heavy bolter mounted to the railing here for somebody to fire off with. And then, if I can manage to turn this around without breaking it. Ooh. Some more lovely freehand there. Oh, I'm going to just set it down for a second. I feel it slipping on me. There we go. So you see that symbol again there. This one is called Vengeance. And I've got the other heavy bolter mounted to their little like turret thing there. That's pretty much it for that. Pretty simple base. But yeah, I quite like these guys. Quite a lot of people like them online, I think, actually, these guys for this army. I'll grab the other one now. This one's a little bit more extensively kit bashed. So I didn't even realize. Apparently, there's some like Nazi movie called Iron Sky or something. I had no idea. I just named it that because I thought it was cool. And then somebody, I think it was in the Crute Discord server, was roasting me, and I'm like, oh, dang, should have gave that a quick Google before I did that. But anyways, so the only thing different about this one is I actually lost the pieces that I was going to use. So the same pieces that I used on the other one to make the wings. So these ones are just entirely made of plastic card. You can buy this like textured plastic card that looks like that kind of like graded look. I don't know what it's called. Um, just Google like plastic card for sale or whatever, and you'll find it. But it's super good for making stuff like this. If you need it thicker, you can just double layer it, glue it together, and then cut it to shape. This one is fun. So both of the heavy bolters I have mounted in the hull. I just kind of made it look like it was like a ragtag, I keep saying that ragtag as if it means something. But it looks like it's just kind of like a hack job. Like they just kind of like busted a hole in it, stuck a gun out the side, threw a patch on, and away we go. And that's kind of how I wanted these things to look. I wanted them to look weathered. We've got a rope coming down the edge here into a little sandbag pile, like they were just disembarking some people. And then here we have your trusty lookout grot. So we've got a little grot up here. I don't know how well he can see through his welding mask. But he's up here holding a rope and he's ready to help spot some targets and enemies. Again, you can see the heavy bolter coming out here. The thing is, if you buy these extra heavy bolters, they're usually only mounted to go one way, like because they're meant for like somebody to hold them. So you need to do some finagling, some clever cutting and gluing to make it so that they're like somewhat look symmetrical. But that would have to be like a whole tutorial video. I can't really explain that here, but I'll put this back. And that is pretty much it. So this is my Scions army. Hopefully I've been having lots of cool pictures popping up because I realize the lighting in here is ass. But yeah, thank you guys for watching if you've been sticking around this whole time. Hopefully you enjoyed the army and you think it all looks cool. And I wasn't sure if I was going to say this, but I'm going to go ahead and say this. So I think I'm done with this, not because I don't like them and not because I don't enjoy them. For me, this whole thing of Warhammer, all these armies, all these kit bashing, it really is that whole like it's the journey, not the climb. Yo, slay Queen Miley Cyrus. I like my enjoyment is mostly like making the thing and much less so about actually like owning it. And also I'm very limited on space. I don't really have any desire to paint more of this stuff or make more of this stuff. I had thought about I'd hemmed and hawed because I think if I made like one super heavy, like a Doom Hammer or whatever, it could be kind of fun and that would be like the centerpiece for the army. But I really don't think I'm gonna, just because I have so many other like more appealing things to do that doesn't really jump out at me. And one of the main reasons painting this has, for whatever reason, this type of painting has not been as fun as some of my other stuff. So I just don't really want to, and I think that's okay. And I think that's like something we can all work on, is not feeling like we're forced to do our hobby. Like, you can just do it if you want to do it. But that said, I don't see myself like playing this all the time either. Like, it was really fun to make. I've played it in a few games. It is a fun army. It's just not my favorite thing. I don't play that often, so like the complexity of guard is not great for me. I'm better as like a world eater's just like run forward and smash or whatever. So that said, if you have watched this whole thing and you're like, damn, sickest Scion army I've ever seen, I would like to have Average Joe tell me the paint scheme so I can add to it and make more of it, or you just want it for your collection, feel free to DM me on Instagram or wherever, and I might be willing to look at parting with it. I'm not sure on a price yet. You can make me an offer. We can talk about it or whatever. But yeah, if you are somebody who is interested in this and thinks it looks cool, or you'd like to just, ask, feel free, because maybe not right away, but I think I will probably end up selling this army at some point and putting the money towards other projects. More Crute Demons, more of the actual Crute army, and more world eaters, and maybe something else down the line. I don't know yet. But either way, guys, thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. The channel's been doing great lately. Somehow, I don't know why, because like I put minimal effort into all this, but I really appreciate all the views and support and likes and comments and all those good things. Like I said, if you do want to support the channel, my Patreon's $1. I really appreciate it, and you can see all the cool stuff coming down the line. But either way, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.